Hi, my name's Keziah Gibbons. My pronouns are she and her. I'm the founder of the Guided by Keziah app, and this is this week's tarot reading for the week ahead. So before we start, I'll talk you through the spread that I'm using. And it's one that I've devised based on, we had a wedding this weekend in my family. My little brother and his wife got married. So all these themes around the wedding have come up, and so I've decided to make a spread out of them. So here, right in the center, at the heart of everything, is love. So for you in this reading, this position represents love, but it also represents what is at the heart of everything, what's really important here, what matters. So right in the center of the spread, we have this position for love. And then we have these two positions either side of it, which are about two things that come together to complement each other. So we have love, what's important in the middle, and then two things that come together to complement each other. And again, for this week, that is going to be what will work together well this week, what will go together this week. And then I was thinking about weddings and marriages and this whole thing. And you know, what's important in them, what really stands out. And there's a lot. You know, I know the wedding that I went to this weekend was very beautiful, very meaningful. There was lots and lots of love there in the space where we were. And there were some things that seemed really important for that particular day. So one is commitment. So when these two people decided that they were going to marry, that's a commitment that they made. So commitment in this reading, in this spread, in this position, is about what commitment might you be able to make this week? What might you be invited to commit to this week? And then there's also community. So, you know, when we come together to celebrate a marriage, there is a community of people around those who are marrying. And this community is really important. They say it takes a village, and that's often used to describe raising a child. But I think really for any of us to exist well, and for any family unit to exist well, we all need that village as well. So we have a position here for community and what role community might play for you this week. And then finally, underneath, celebration. So, you know, what and how might you celebrate this week? So that's the spread, and we'll go ahead and read. So I'll invite you to take a deep breath. Just go inside and ask to receive what you need. If there is something in particular, something that you're working with, working through, that's on your mind this week, you might just invite in some resolution for that as well. And then we'll take that first card. So this first card is love. What's at the center? And look at this. We have the world. So I see this really as an affirmation that love is what's at the center. That is what's most important, and it is what completes us. So the world is a card of completion. It is the final card in the major arcana of the tarot. So the major arcana tend to be about our big life lessons, what's going on in our spiritual life, our inner life, the big energies that are around us. And so this is a big energy, and it's a big, beautiful energy. And for it to come out in this position just feels like a really clear, simple and beautiful affirmation that, you know, we can this week, we can place love at the center. So that's our first card. The next two, what two things might come together to complement each other? So I'll draw them together as they're a pair. And we have the Magician and the Queen of Swords. So I'll talk you through them individually and then how they might be working together for us this week. So the Magician is a wonderful card, another major arcana. Those of you who are doing my Magician course on the Guided by Keziah app will perhaps feel a particular affinity to this card. This is the card of creating your own reality. It's the card of having all the resources that you need. And you see what the Magician does is the Magician connects what is above and what is below, the spiritual and the material. The Magician directs their will to create. And you see there, I say they have all the resources they need. They have all the four suits of the tarot on there, the swords, the wands, the cups, and the pentacles. And they have their own wand to direct energy with. So it's a wonderful card for us to have available to us. So I'll just pop that there. And then with the Magician came the Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords is about mental energy. Swords are about mental energy. And the Queen as a monarch of Swords is someone who is in charge of their own mental energy. This is a monarch who can be a little bit withdrawn sometimes, not withdrawn, separate sometimes. They might keep their distance in some way. So the Court cards, these cards can sometimes represent aspects of yourself or people around you. So if you are feeling a need to take some distance, then that might be a confirmation of that. But what the Queen of Swords is actually doing is she's at the top of a mountain where she can see very clearly. She's got perspective. So by taking a little bit of space, she can think things through clearly and get perspective. And that's what the Queen of Swords can offer us this week. I'd also add that her superpower is mindfulness. So looking then at the Magician and the Queen of Swords together, what we have here is a really clear message from the cards that, you know, this week you can create your own reality. You can create your life as you want it. You can direct your energy, and it's good to do that from a place of perspective. So having a clear understanding of what is happening, having a clear understanding of what you want. So not necessarily being all caught up in the emotion and reactive, but really thinking things out, making a plan, and then directing your energy into that plan. So it's a very positive reading so far with these three cards. I'm very happy with them, very impressed with them. And so the next position is commitment. What commitment might we be invited to make this week? Or look at this, death. So death, for those of you who are not familiar with the tarot, it's not necessarily about, well, it's very, very rarely, in fact, about actual death. Can be about endings, and endings in the context of transformation. So death really invites us to let go of that which is no longer serving, because it's only then that we can clear the way for what is to come in. So I mentioned earlier my course on the Magician, and one of the things we do, we start that course off with death. It's the first card we work with, and we make space. And then we go into the manifesting aspects of the course. And this really is an invitation to make some space in your life, to let go. One of the powerful messages this card has for us is that death isn't always optional. So that letting go isn't necessarily optional. So it's really up to us how we approach that. You know, is there something that it is time to let go of this week? And are we going to let go of that gracefully, or are we just going to, is it going to be kicking and screaming? So I think the invitation here is perhaps to commit to letting go of, if there's something that you know actually does need to go in your life and has done for a while. Perhaps now is a time to commit to actually allowing that process to happen, and knowing that that's okay. It's very natural. It is a step again on your life's journey. This is another major arcana card, so it's a very powerful card, very empowering card. And then community. What relationship might we have with community this week? And we have here the Five of Cups. So the Five of Cups, you can see, Cups is the card, the suit of the emotions. And you can see here this person with their head bowed, and they have these 3 spilled cups in front of them and 2 upright cups behind them. And I always see this as a card of being in the present, acknowledging that sometimes there is some loss and grief, and that might be to do with if there really is something that you're letting go. There might naturally be some feelings around that. That's okay. You don't have to be without feelings, and that there are also other wonderful things available. You've still got those full cups, and so this card is really about sort of acknowledging what is let go, what is lost, even what is spilt from those cups, acknowledging what might be coming into your life, and just giving yourself a moment to stand between those. So in the context of it coming up in this position of community, it may be that if you are going through a transition of some kind, then that is something to perhaps hold space for with community, to acknowledge in community that some of these cups have been spilt and the others stand ready, and then move on. Allow that. It's an invitation to process, and then move on, move into the future, enjoy the future. So these 2 cards work very nicely together. You see, Death even looks like they are riding towards that 5 of Cups. So there is transformation going on. There is transformation available, and with your community, you might need to acknowledge what the impact of that is. Nobody lives in a vacuum. We all live in ecosystems. And so, the transformation that's being invited to you may have impact on others as well. So that's just something to be aware of. And then finally, celebration. How might we be invited to celebration this week? And we have the Knight of Pentacles. So it strikes me that we do have another court card in this reading, and the Queen of Swords, but we also have another card that's a little bit similar to the Knight of Pentacles. In that Death card, we have a figure who's facing in this direction, riding in this direction, but this Knight of Pentacles is stopped. So Pentacles are the suit of the material. They can represent money, wealth, physical health, any material resources that you have. And the Knight of Pentacles can be someone who's very earthy, very slow, moves slowly, might be very sensual, might be very embodied, very present in their body. They probably do have formed connections with things. Their belongings matter to them. They might care for them. They might not like to throw things away. So although the figures were similar in this, Death often means transformation. The Knight of Pentacles is more about standing still. And so in this position of celebration, I wonder if this is an invitation for us to again stop and take stock and really feel everything that there is to celebrate. And starting with being here, being alive, being in this body. So I wasn't going to tell this story, but it reminds me of something. So as I say, I have been away at this wedding at the weekend, and I've driven about 800 miles in the last 4 days. Lots of detours, and last night drove back up to York, where I live, and having driven a couple of 100 miles, got to 5 minutes from home, and we were hit, rear-ended by a coach. So everyone was fine. We're all okay, but it was it was unfortunate in that sort of last 5 minutes. But what I came to from that is that, how lucky are we that is all that happened, because we'd driven up the M1, which is sort of the big motorway that goes up the middle of England, in this driving rain, in the dark, really poor conditions, at the speed limit, because we had a long way to go. We wanted to get home. And we had remained intact on that big road, big motorway. And we'd actually only been 5 minutes from home when we were hit at fairly slow speed by a coach. So although the car was damaged, none of the people were damaged. And this is just, I take this as an invitation to gratitude. How lucky are we that we were safe? How lucky are we that we all were able to walk out of that car? How lucky are we to be present in our physical integrity? And so in terms of celebration, the Knight of Pentacles reminds you of this. If you have those small material things, and everyone has different material lives, I do recognize that. But if you're lucky enough to be alive in this body, that's something to celebrate. If you are lucky enough to be sheltered, that's something to celebrate. If you are lucky enough to have enough to eat today, that's something to celebrate. If you are lucky enough to have a place, be connected with a place in some way, a place that you call home, that's something to celebrate. If you are lucky enough to have your health, that's something to celebrate. The Pentacles suit is about this. And so the Knight of Pentacles invites you to stop and feel into, not just thinking, how lucky am I, but feeling into, how lucky am I to be alive, to be embodied in this moment. So that's our reading for the week ahead. I will invite you to take a look at the other tarot resources in the Guided by Keziah app. The Magician is running now, so the first season has just finished and is available on Catch Up, and the second season starts early in October. So I wish you a wonderful week ahead, and I will be back with next week's reading next Monday. Take really good care.